Nama Sreshtam Manumapi Sachi Putramatra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Grajamurupurim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Sri Gurum Dham Natosmi Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hema Bhadivyachari Sundaraya Tasmai Maha Prema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Stadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Tavaivasmi 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 Tiyachate iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Sharanantikam. So today, in just a very few days, we begin the time of Shri Navadvipa Dham Parikrama. I think it is Wednesday. So it is a most auspicious time leading up to Shri Gaur Purnima. So I wanted to read something from Shri Navadvipa Dham Mahatmya. This is a book written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which Gurudev gave in Hindi in 2007, and then in 2010, the English translation was published. So, in this book, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has had darshan, and he has shared his internal darshan of Shri Navadvipa Dham with all sincere sadhaks. And he has given the glories of Shri Navadvipa Dham, and he has also narrated his account of Srila Jiva Goswami doing parikrama of Navadvipa Dham in the company of Shri Nityananda Prabhu. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur begins every chapter with the invocation of Sri Chaitanya Chandra, and also praise to the lotus feet of Janava Thakurani and Nitai. Navadvipa Dham Mahatmya. Navadvipa Dham Mahatmya. It is on purebhakti.com. Yes. So Gauda Mandala is 21 yojanas in circumference, about 168 miles. It is compared to a 100-petal lotus. Why 100-petal lotus? Because there are so many corners, and every corner is full of transcendental radiance and ras. It is Audarya Dham. This is also a very important point. Now, there are 9 islands. Ganga, Bhagirathi Ganga, goes through the center of these 9 islands of Navadvipa. There are 4 islands on the eastern side and 5 on the western side. And the form of Navadvipa is like an 8-petaled lotus. In the center is Antardvipa. And in the center of the center, there is the Yogapeeth, Shri Mayapur. So it is an 8-petaled lotus. And it is 7 yojanas in diameter. So Sandhini Shakti has manifested the eternal Dham of Navadvipa. Navadvipa Dham and Shri Vrindavan Dham are not different. Only there is some difference in rasa, but in tattva, there is no difference. Mahaprabhu's kripa is compared to an ocean. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that logic, trying to understand by logic, it is very difficult. It is like cutting the skins of a banana flower. You know, banana flower, oh, it looks very nice. But to prepare it, you have to remove so many skins, and then you have to cut the little tiny bananas inside, and then you can make a nice sabzi. But the process of logic, trying to understand the absolute truth, tarko pratishta shrutayo vibhinna nasaurishirgyasya matam na bhinnam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yenikatat sapanta. Nowadays, some people think it is possible that we can become perfect in Krishna consciousness without the association and shelter of any Mahajan. Oh, Mahajan who was gone before, who is not present, I don't need to have their darshan. No. Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, he directly contradicts this. He says you must come before bona fide Guru. Sri Krishna has said this in Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Pariprashna means making a relevant inquiry, means like I am asking you, oh, what have you eaten this morning? I am asking you, this is pariprashna. And pranipatena means I am coming in front of you, I am not from a distance. Oh, Haribol, Dandavat Pranams Prabhu. No, I am coming in front of you and I am falling down right in front of you. Maybe that will make you uncomfortable, but that is the process. How pranipatena is done. Is it possible? I can say, I am a disciple of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Oh, you met him? No. You did pranam in front of his feet? No. You asked him any question directly? Seeing him in front of you? No. How you can be his disciple? Of course, there is a great acharya, like our Srila Prabhupada. I know personally at least one disciple who was twice initiated who never met him. Because while he was present, because he is a Nitya Parikar and Mahabhagavat, he could do this. He could accept someone as his disciple. What is this person's name? I accept them as my disciple, while he was manifesting his Acharya Lila. So this bogus philosophy that I can imagine myself to be anyone. Oh, I imagine myself to be disciple of Brahmaji. I imagine myself to be directly a disciple of Krishna. No, this is bogus. It is not supported in any Shastra. So by the service and association of pure Vaishnavas only, we will perceive the Shobha of the Dham, the beautiful radiance of the Dham. We will go to Navadvipa Dham, we will go to Vrindavan Dham, and what will we see? Oh, we will see shops, we will see temples and mutts and so many things. And we will see monkeys. Yes, so many monkeys will be there. But we are not actually seeing what the Pujat ko kilahamsa sarasa gana kirne mayurakule. Goswamis were in Braj and they were seeing all of the opulence of Sri Vrindavan, all of the madhurya of Sri Vrindavan Dham manifest. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was doing bhajan in Godrumadweep, in Surabhi Kunj, and he had such divine darshan. He saw such a great light shining from across the Ganga. We are not seeing Navadvipa Dham in this way. So it is necessary that one must have the shelter. One must have shelter and one must do parikrama in Anugatya. Anugatya is one of the foundation necessities for practice of Raganuga Bhakti. Now one may say, what is Raganuga Bhakti? Why Raganuga Bhakti? Because Anarpita chadim chirat karunagavatirna kalau samarpayatum unnato jvalarasam swabhakti shriyam. Sri Krishna, after a very long time, How long is a very long time? Oh, we are saying about 8,640,000,000 years. One day of Brahma. In one day of Brahma, Krishna has come, and then Krishna will come as Mahaprabhu, taking the Kanti and Bhav of Srimati Radhika, to give that which has not been given for a very long time, because by doing Vaidhi Bhakti, one can go to Vaikuntha. But one must follow in the footsteps, Brajaloka Anusarata, one must follow in the footsteps of the Brajavasis to attain Goloka Vrindavan. And this is the purpose of Mahaprabhu's descent. Prema Rasa Niryas. It is actually a secondary purpose. His three confidential reasons are given in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that place where Mahaprabhu came to give is overflowing with ras. Now, in Sri Navadvipa Dham Mahatmya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains a very confidential truth. In both Sri Vrindavan Dham and in Sri Navadvipa Dham, both Audarya and Madhurya are present. Both. What is Audarya? Audarya means it is the magnanimous abode. It is full of magnanimity and giving, overflowing. Madhurya is sweetness. But in Sri Vrindavan Dham, Madhurya is predominating. And in Navadvipa Dham, Audarya is predominating. But there is no difference, and one should not see. This is one of 10 Dhamaparats. You know, before going to Dham, one should know 10 Dhamaparats. There are 10 Namaparats, right? And there are 10 Dhamaparats. So we should avoid carefully. Like Namaparad begin with Guru Ravagya Sruti Shastranandanam Tatartavado Harinam Vikalpanam Nam no Balad Yasihi Papa Buddhir Navidyate Yasya Yamayar Tasya Yamayar Hishuddhi. There are similarly 10 Dhamaparats. First is to disrespect the Guru, who is the revealer of the Dham, without having shelter of Shri Guru and without following in the process and in the association of pure Vaishnavas. It is not possible. We take darshan of the Dham through the ears. We must hear the glories of Dham. So, this is a very confidential truth of Sri Navadvipa Dham and Sri Vrindavan Dham. It is said that all of the tirthas become very weak in Kali Yuga. How they become weak? People will go to the tirthas. And going to tirthas, this is an age-old process. Even there was something that happened, and Arjun was told by Krishna, go to all of the tirthas. He was going on Tirtha Yatra. What did Arjun do? Well, one of the ancient tirthas is Dwarka. Dwarka, Kanchi, Maya is Haridwar, and Puri, Jagannath Puri. These are ancient tirthas. And Pushkar tirthas, so many different tirthas, ancient tirthas, and Arjun was going on tour of all these tirthas. He came to Dwarka. Oh, he disguised himself as a sannyasi, and he stayed in the house of Baladevji. And who was there? Subhadra. Subhadra, sister of Krishna. And Arjun and Subhadra, they were looking at each other, exchanging glances, while Baladevji was there. Baladevji wanted Subhadra to be married to some other person. I don't know, Duryodhana, anyone. But Krishna wanted that Subhadra should only marry his dear friend Arjun. Why? Why this was necessary? Because Subhadra and Arjun would produce one son, whose name was Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu would produce one son, whose name is Maharaj Parikshit. And Maharaj Parikshit would be the reason for Srimad Bhagavatam being manifest. So there was so many layers of things going on. And finally, then Arjun, in the dress of a sannyasi, he eloped with Subhadra. So Baladevji was a little upset by this. But anyway, all of the tirthas, they have always been present. And if someone has done some wrong thing, they must visit all the tirthas. And they will do penance by going to all the tirthas, one becomes purified. But in Kali Yuga, the tirthas are losing their power. They are becoming less potent. But Navadvipa Dham is becoming more and more powerful. So Sri Navadvipa Dham is continuing to manifest in Kali Yuga. There are 16 holy rivers which are manifest in Navadvipa Dham. There is not just the Bhagirathi Ganga, but also Brahmaputra, Tamraparni, Gomati, Kaveri, Sindhu, Godavari, Saraswati, all 16. Sarayu, yes. All 16 holy rivers are manifest within Navadvipa Dham. Sometimes they are present within the flow of one of the rivers, and sometimes they disappear and reappear. So at the time when Sri Nityananda Prabhu was taking Srila Jiva Goswami on Navadvipa Dham Parikrama. So how Navadvipa Dham Parikrama began, it is described here. It is Sri Nityananda Prabhu who is taking very young Sri Jiva Goswami to all of these places. So there are 4 dvipas on the eastern side of the Ganga and 5 on the western side. Antardvip, one should first visit Antardvip in the center, where the Yoga Peak is, and then Simanta Dvip, which is to the north, then Godruma Dvip, Madhya Dvip, which are all on the east side. Then first we will take permission of Janava Ganga, Bhagirathi Ganga, and cross Janavi after taking her permission, and then go to Koladvip, Ritudvip, Janudvip, Modadrum Dvip, and Rudradvip, finally. And finally, from Rudradvip, we will again cross the Ganga and come back to Antardvip and visit Yoga Peeth and visit the Jagannath Mishra Sachi Bhavan, where Mahaprabhu appeared. So it is said that the best time for doing Navadvipa Parikrama is from Makara Sankranti up until the Falguna Purnima, up until Gaur Purnima. But now in our Gaudiya tradition, following in the line of Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, we are doing the parikrama in 5 days only, in these final 5 days, beginning from this upcoming Saptami up until Gaur Purnima. So in chapter 4 of Navadvipa Dham Parikrama, then we hear the description of Srila Jiva Goswami. Up until now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has been giving the Mahatmya of Sri Navadvipa Dham. Now in chapter 4, it is said that Srila Jiva Goswami was living in Chandradvip, one place in West Bengal. Earlier, Sri Jiva Goswami was the son of Anupama, brother of Srila Rupa Goswami. So he was nephew of Srila Rupa Goswami. And when he was a young boy, he had darshan of Mahaprabhu. What was it? Mahaprabhu gave him his toe. Yes. So Srila Jiva Goswami already had blessings of Mahaprabhu. He was already related to Srila Rupa Goswami. And so he was now very young, and he was staying with his mother. His father had passed away, and he was staying with his mother in Chandradweep. But he was trying to continue his education. He looked at all of the pundits in Chandradweep. There was no one who was qualified. What was the level of qualification of Srila Jiva Goswami? Srila Jiva Goswami is said to have written over 400,000 verses. That is like the length of entire Mahabharata. So many verses he has written. So he was looking in his, and he was only very young, I think about maybe 16, 17 years old at this time. He was looking for someone who can teach Vedanta, Srimad Bhagavatam, all of these things. There was no one who was qualified. So he was told, go to Navadvipa and take shelter of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So now he has come to Nityananda Prabhu. He came to Navadvipa and he asked some devotees, do you know where is Nityananda Prabhu? Do you know where is Nityananda Prabhu? And they said, oh, go on this side, you'll find him. Nityananda Prabhu simultaneously was saying, oh, one jiva has come. Go find this. Go find this jiva and bring him to me. And so others were searching for him, and they made that connection finally. And Srila Jiva Goswami came, and he fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu put both of his feet on the head of Srila Jiva Goswami. Oh, he was very pleased to finally meet with Sri Jiva Goswami. He said, oh, Jiva, now I will show you the Navadvipa Dham. After this, you will go to Varanasi and you can study under Madhusudana Vachaspati. And he will give you your education in all of the finer points of Vedanta and so forth. Who was Madhusudana Vachaspati? He was a disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Who was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the preeminent scholar in all of India at the time. He was the teacher of Vedanta to the great teachers of the time. Now, Madhusudana Vachaspati had also learned from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya all about the explanations on Vedanta which were given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, what happened at Alalnath? Mahaprabhu went to Jagannath Puri and stopped at Alalnath. And while taking darshan of Alalnath, he left his danda, his ekadanda. You know, in the Shankara line, sannyasi receives a ekadanda, single danda. Nityananda Prabhu took this, broke it in three, and threw it in the river. What is the significance? It means that Tridandi sannyas was given first by Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is Akhanda Guru Tattva. Sometimes Babaji say, oh, there is no Tridanda sannyas in our Gaudiya line. They have completely wrong account. First of all, there is Tridandipad Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati. Secondly, there were others as well. And third, Nityananda Prabhu himself made the Tridanda from Mahaprabhu's Ekadanda. So then Mahaprabhu, how did he react? Oh, thank you, Nityananda. No, he became very gussa, upset. And he said, I will go on by myself and leave all of you behind. And he went off to Jagannath Puri. And there he was taking darshan and seeing Jagannath. And when Mahaprabhu was seeing Jagannath, he was seeing, oh, my very beautiful Shyamasundar is here. He was not seeing Jagannath as Dwarkadish. He was seeing Shyamasundar. And he ran to see Jagannath, and he fell down in a faint just before the altar. Pandas came with sticks. They were going to beat him. Who is this Pagal Admi? We were going to throw him out. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was there, and he was the court pundit of Gajapati Prataparudra Maharaj. He said, no, this young sannyasi has simply been doing too much eating Mahaprasad and chanting and dancing. Please have him brought to my house, and I shall give him instruction in Vedanta and make him a very sober and proper sannyasi. Please do this now, bring him, and I will take care. So Mahaprabhu was brought to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And there, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, when Mahaprabhu came to external consciousness, he said, "Oh, young sannyasi, I have observed that you are Jai Shri Radha Govinda. I have observed that you are doing so much chanting and dancing. This is not proper for a sannyasi. It will disturb your vayu, your vital force. And this is why you are now experiencing these episodes of fainting and so forth. So I will instruct you in Vedanta so that you can, by philosophy, you can fix your mind and you can be very peaceful and not disturbed. This is the proper thing for a sannyasi to do." So Mahaprabhu sat and listened for 3 days as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explained the Sharirika Bhashya of Shri Shankaracharya. At the end of 3 days, Sarvabhauma said, "Oh, young sannyasi," I don't think he said that. "Oh, young sannyasi, you have been sitting here very quietly and listening, but I don't know if you have actually heard anything. Is it going in one ear and out the other? You should, have you understood anything at all?" And Mahaprabhu said, "Oh, Acharya, Vedanta itself is very clear like the sun, but your explanations are like clouds covering the sun." And then Mahaprabhu went on to explain by so many Shastric references how the Mayavad interpretation of Vedanta was incorrect. And then Mahaprabhu explained the very clear Gaudiya Vedanta understanding. Because Vedanta begins Shakti Shakti Mator Abheda. Well, that is not how it begins, but this is the root of Gaudiya Vedanta. There is no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman. This is called Advaya Jnana Paratattva. I know, we love to hear this, and so many times it has been told. I won't repeat it once again. But Mahaprabhu gave all the explanation of Vedanta. Who was present? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Gopinath Acharya, son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, of course, he was quite devastated. Everyone has been telling me I am the Acharya, the grand professor of everyone in Vedanta, and now this young sannyasi has completely defeated me. And he was feeling a bit lost. He went and he did not do his sandhya, and he remained in his room. But then he had a vision. He had the vision of Mahaprabhu as Shadbhuj Gaur, with 2 hands playing the flute, with 2 hands holding danda and kamandalu, and with 2 hands holding bow and arrows as Sri Ram. And then the next day, Mahaprabhu came and he offered prayers. He composed the Chaitanya Shatakam, 100 verses, and also Ujjvala Varana Gauravada Deham, this song, this prayer in glorification of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then from that time, now Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had taught Madhusudana Vachaspati and his other students this Vedanta that had been explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. No one had written it down. So Nityananda Prabhu, now coming back to this present, which is being described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has said, "O Jiva, you can hear this explanation of Vedanta from Madhusudana Vachaspati. Although, by our perspective, Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on Vedanta. And so, to study Vedanta Sutra is not actually necessary. One only has to know Srimad Bhagavatam Pramana Mamalam Prema Pumarto Maham." But Madhusudana Vachaspati has heard Vedanta explanations from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, which were given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly. Furthermore, there is also Gopinath Acharya was present, and he will come in the future as Baladev, by the name Baladev, and in Jaipur, he will write Govinda Bhashya commentary. This has been said by Nityananda Prabhu to Srila Jiva Goswami, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has recorded this in his Navadvipa Mahatmya. Mundane persons and scholars have no entrance into such things. They will say, "Oh, well, obviously, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote this after the time, so he already knew what happened." No, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his divine vision, saw what had been said by Sri Nityananda Prabhu to Srila Jiva Goswami. And there it was already written that Govinda Bhashya would be written in the future. But at this time, there is no commentary. You can go to Madhusudana Vachaspati. Now, what did Madhusudana Vachaspati do? He posed himself as the leading teacher of the Sharirika Bhashya of Sri Shankaracharya. So there was a big ready-made market of Mayavadi sannyasis who want to know Vedanta, 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 Vedanta Tattva, Vedanta Tattva, so we can go and have Sayujya Mukti. And that was all they wanted. And they were going to the best place for understanding this ascending process of knowledge with very, very hard exercises. What did Shankaracharya say? Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhajamu Dhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrinkarane. He is using a grammatical term. Dukrinkarana means by juggling suffixes and prefixes. Just worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda, you fools and rascals. He said, you have no idea. Death is going to come and grab you by the throat, and all of your word jugglery and use of Sanskrit prefixes, suffixes, which you think makes you so damn clever, it's not going to do anything for you. Just worship Govinda. So, Madhusudana Vachaspati was posing externally, and he was the best teacher of Sharirika Bhashya. But to understand Sharirika Bhashya, you have to do a lot of word jugglery and interpretation. For example, Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, he gave very perfect books. He said, these are books that have been dictated by Krishna. Now, some people thought, oh, these books have to be improved after his disappearance. No, they were already perfect, because the Acharya who came from Goloka Vrindavan has given them. It is called Arsha Prayoga. There may be say, oh, look, Guruji said one word wrong. That means we can change it all and make it correct. No, it is already perfect. But we have to hear in association of pure devotees. And he wrote, therefore, unless it is the desire of the Lord, no one falls from Vaikuntha. Where is this said? In 7th canto, 1st chapter, 1st verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Maharaj Yudhishthira is asking Narada Muni, how is it that Jay and Vijay could have come to this material world by the curse of the four Kumaras. And very, very clear. But somebody wrote an entire book trying to refute this statement of the Acharya. How is it possible? By word jugglery. Oh, let us say this means this and that means that and the other thing means the other thing, and I will lead you around in a circle through all of my jugglery of words, and boom, now you have been turned around 100%. You do not know what is truth and what is false. So this has been going on for a long time. This was also the position of Shankaracharya. Mayavadam asach chastram prachanam bauddham uchyate. He says to Parvati Devi, he says, I will come in the role of a Brahmin in Kali Yuga, and I will teach Mayavad, which is a Sat Shastra. It is a incorrect and temporary Shastra, and it is nothing more than covered Buddhism. It is simply covered Buddhism. So Madhusudan Vachapati could speak this, he could explain it, but then when those students became somewhat advanced, he would explain, you know, this is actually all wrong. This is the correct Vedanta. And he would explain the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. We should know what is Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. If I bring a room of people and I say, now please explain to me what does Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva mean, without using the words inconceivable, simultaneous, oneness, and difference. Okay, let's hear it. Someone explain? Yes? Okay. It is a little hard, okay? But we should try. We should try to understand. But anyway, in this time, for the sannyasis, oh, we know Vedanta so much, and we know everything, all the logic and everything. There was one Vyasatirtha, one Acharya in the Madhva school, and he wrote a book called, what is it called? Ratna Manjari. Mani Manjari, yes. And this book was refuting all of the arguments of Sharirika Bhashya. It caused such a big uproar in all of the Mayavadi sannyasis of Varanasi. Because in the Madhva school, or what is called Tattvavadi, they will use so much logic and argument and quotation from Shastra, and it is very rigorous. Like it is like reading a mathematics journal, you know. Now I have given the proof. 200 pages later, I have proved that 1 + 1 = 2.
That is actually in the book.
Yes, I know. So, anyway, this this had been written, and so Madhusudan Vachaspati wrote something called Ananda Siddhi, which was trying to give the refutation, but it actually didn't give a refutation because he was pretending to be a teacher of Mayavad. Not so. Anyway, Nityananda Prabhu said to Jiva Goswami, you should go and you can learn from Madhusudan Vachaspati all about, because to learn Vedanta doesn't just mean, oh, you're going to learn Anandamayo Bhyasat and Shakti Matora Veda and all the other sutras and how it goes together. No, you will also have to learn Vedangas, everything. It is like a very rigorous education. So now, Srila Jiva Goswami is going to go on the Navadvipa Dham Parikrama with Nityananda Prabhu. So we will read something from this now continuing chapter 5 of the Navadvipa Dham Parikrama. So on the first day, Prabhu bole, oh hey Jeev, Adyam Ayapur, Koroho Darshana Kalya Brahmi Viprachur. Sri Nityananda Prabhu said, oh Jiva, today you will take darshan of Mayapur, and tomorrow I will take you to many other places. Saying this, Nityananda Prabhu stood up and the joyful Sri Jiva Goswami followed him. Sri Nityananda Prabhu was overwhelmed in devotional ecstasy. He walked very slowly, and his divine body was intoxicated with prem for Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. The Lord's enchanting form was swaying with transcendental emotions, and the ornaments that adorned his entire body were making brilliant and radiant sounds. Even in their meditation, Brahma, Shiva, and others cannot obtain those lotus feet which are now walking ahead of Sri Jiva Goswami, bestowing mercy upon him. Following behind Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Jiva smeared the dust from the Lord's feet all over his body and walked on in delight. Now they come to Yogapit. They entered Sri Jagannath Mishra's house, and Sri Nityananda Prabhu made a submission at Sri Sachimata's lotus feet. O Mother, this supremely intelligent Jiva, who is a dear servant of Sri Gauranga, is very fortunate. Upon hearing these words of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Jiva fainted, falling to the ground like a tree uprooted by a great storm. Sri Jiva fell at Sri Sachimata's feet and rolled on the ground. Various ecstatic manifestations came in his body and competed with each other. Mother Sachi mercifully blessed Sri Jiva. That day they all took prasad in that very house. Sri Vishnupriya Devi prepared rice, vegetables, and many other kinds of dishes on the order of Mother Sachi. After some time, Sri Vamshivadananda Prabhu offered the preparations with great attention to Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Ishan Thakur arranged a sitting place and with an extremely joyful heart served prasad to Sri Nityananda Prabhu. You know which Ishan Thakur we're talking about. It's not you, it's the original Ishan Thakur. Yes. Filled with motherly affection, Sri Sachi Devi told Sri Nityananda Prabhu, "Finally, my son, you are at your mother's house. Now eat with great joy. I have secretly offered this prasad to Gaurachandra. So if you also affectionately accept it, I will become most happy at heart." Hearing the words of Mother Sachi, Sri Nityananda Prabhu blissfully accepted the prasad, and Sri Jiva Goswami received his remnants. Sri Jiva said, "I am blessed, having taken prasad today at Mahaprabhu's house in Mayapur." After eating, Sri Nityananda Prabhu paid his obeisances at Mother Sachi's feet and begged her permission to leave. As Sri Nityananda Prabhu was leaving, he took Vamshivadananda with him. Sri Jiva offered obeisances at the feet of Sri Vamshivadananda Prabhu. Sri Nityananda Prabhu said, "O Jiva, all devotees know this Vamshivadananda to be an incarnation of Sri Krishna's dear flute." So Vamshivadananda Prabhu is described in Gauraganandesh Deepika, also in Adi Lila, where there is that chapter describing all the branches of Chaitanya tree. By his mercy, the jivas became attracted to Sri Krishna and become eager to enter Maharas. Look, Jiva, in this house, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed many pastimes with all of us. Look here, this is Jagannath Mishra's temple. Daily, in a steadfast manner, he would sit here to worship Lord Vishnu. Just see the house where he used to serve guests. Also take darshan of this platform where he worshipped Tulsi. As long as Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the maintainer of the devotees, remained at home, he used to follow the behavior shown by his father. Now, Ishan Thakur performs all these duties. under the guidance of Sri Vamshivadananda Prabhu. At this place, there was a great neem tree, which disappeared by Mahaprabhu's touch. When Sri Nityananda Prabhu described these places, he was crying. In the same way, Sri Jiva and Sri Vamshivadananda were also crying. It was also said here, Nityananda Prabhu had explained to Sri Jiva Goswami that he was not at this time known as Sri Jiva Goswami. He left his home in Chandradvip to take renounced order, but he was not formally known as Sri Jiva Goswami, simply as Sri Jiva. But Sri Nityananda Prabhu explained that this place will disappear under the Ganga, but later it will again be revealed. So why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was looking for Yogapith? Because over time it was hidden and then again revealed, but when it became again revealed, nobody recognized it. Hundreds of years had passed, so no one recognized it. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur went there with Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. Srila Babaji Maharaj was 144 years old. His disciples used to carry him around in a basket. He used to have to keep his eyelids propped up with a stick. He was so elderly. But when he came to that place, there were tulsi trees growing, and he jumped up and began dancing, Gauda Haribol, Gauda Haribol. This is definitely the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Gaura Vibhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha. So by the mercy of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who did his bhajan there in Sri Godrumdvip at Surabhi Kunj, we had all of this opportunity to follow in the footsteps of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Srila Jiva Goswami and have darshan of Sri Navadvipa Dham. Yes.
I have a question behind, well, there's the neem tree there. Was
Yeah.
that planted later? Is that the original tree? It's not that big. It's fairly large, but
Well,
500 years, obviously, it's a long time.
that I can't answer.
This cannot be the same tree.
It could,
Neem trees don't last for only that.
yes, because this was under the course, the Ganga shifted. So this, at the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we know that people were insisting that the current town of Navadvipa was actually where Mahaprabhu appeared. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had looked at many old maps and many old accounts, and he concluded that this was the place. But Ganga had shifted because there is so much flooding, and over time the course of the Ganga can shift completely. So how that neem tree again became manifest, because we are told to first understand that Dham is a manifestation of Sandhini Shakti. So Mahaprabhu could touch that neem tree and make it vanish. That neem tree also could reappear by the influence of Sandhini Shakti, but we have not been given any explanation of that. But by understanding that Dham is a manifestation of Sandhini Shakti, of course, it is possible. Because it was also said that Yogapith would become invisible, but again become visible.
Who said that?
This is what is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written here. He has, before this section, this is one of the things that he is explaining. Now we have come to Srivasanga. Any other question here? Yes.
I just super quick comment. I read in two different sources that when Jagannath Das Babaji discovered the birthplace of Mahaprabhu, despite being carried around in a basket, he jumped 8 feet And another
Yes.
source I read is 10 to 12 feet. Each
Yes.
That high.
Wow.
Yes, yes. He was, it was not something like, oh, yes, here we are. No, it was, go to Haribo. Yes, I originally heard 10 feet in the air. But it was very clear and unambiguous. Yes, this is the birthplace. We found it. So now we have come to Srivasangan. So Srivas Pandit now has arrived here, where Nityananda Prabhu has brought Jiva to the home of Sachi Mata, where Vishnu Priya has cooked. What was the condition of Vishnu Priya after Mahaprabhu took sannyas? Vishnu Priya was simply weeping. Gurudev has said she was chanting 3 lakh names every day. And for chanting 1 round, she would move 1 grain of rice. And as many grains of rice as she moved, that's how much she would cook and she would eat in 1 day. Because she was only weeping and chanting and weeping and chanting and weeping and chanting. But we want to have our bellies full. We want to have a good full meal, 3 full meals a day, and we want to sleep nicely, and we don't care really so much for chanting. So, what is our condition? We should feel that we're very fallen. Anyone who is not chanting 1 lakh should feel, I am patita. That's standard. Anyway, so now we have come to Srivasangan. So Srivas Pandit has arrived, and it is about 200 meters north of Yogapeeth. So Nityananda Prabhu showed Srivasangan to Sri Jiva. Sri Jiva began to roll in the dust of Srivasangan, and the remembrance of Mahaprabhu's many pastimes came all at once. Jiva became so moved by prem that the symptoms of prem in his body appeared to compete with each other. Then, just as Sri Jiva was getting up from the ground, he saw an astonishing sight. Sriman Mahaprabhu was dancing with his intimate devotees. Vallabhanandan, which is a name for Sri Jiva Goswami, because he is the son of Sri Vallabha. Vallabha was another name for Anupama. Beheld that Mahasankirtan and the extraordinary dancing of Sriman Mahaprabhu, who was radiantly situated in the midst of all the devotees. Sri Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu were dancing, and Sri Gadadhar Pandit and Sri Haridas Thakur were also dancing and singing. Sri Shuklambar and hundreds of other devotees were singing and dancing. Seeing all this, Sri Jiva was overwhelmed by prem and fell unconscious. When the vision of the pastime disappeared, Sri Jiva returned to consciousness. Now, nothing was pleasing to him. Would you find anything pleasing if you had such a vision of Mahaprabhu? To hear Mahaprabhu has appeared, Mahaprabhu's vision, how beautiful was the form of Mahaprabhu. Krishna is all attractive. And Krishna now with the Kanti and Bhav of Srimati Radhika. How much attractive? It is said that Mahaprabhu's hands, his palms of his hands were reddish, and such a beautiful reddish color, and also the soles of his feet. Sometimes when he would go running by in the house, Sachi Mata would see him and she would think, has he been cut? Because there is such a beautiful lotus-like reddish tinge. And then she would say, oh, it is just this very beautiful reddish tinge of his hands. But that was what this is described in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. So he has had this incredible vision of Mahaprabhu dancing and with all of his devotees. And then he was weeping and nothing was pleasing to him. Alas, alas, why did I not take birth earlier? It is not my fortune to obtain the bliss of Sriman Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan in the group of his intimate devotees. Sri Nityananda Prabhu's mercy is boundless and unlimited. Today, through the strength of his mercy, I became fortunate to have a momentary darshan of this pastime. So if we have such a strong hankering, when we will take birth, what is the result? How we will achieve, we will go back in time. We will come take birth closer to the time of appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We will take birth closer to the time of appearance of Acharyas first, and gradually we will come closer to the time of Mahaprabhu's appearance in Leela. My desire is that I may reside in this Mayapur forever, because if so, my entanglement in the illusory energy Maya will be removed completely. Even the thought of leaving Mayapur is making my heart palpitate. Nevertheless, the master's order is more powerful than the servant's desire. Then Sri Nityananda Prabhu took Sri Jiva to Sri Advaita Acharya's house, Advaita Bhavan, which is situated about 20 meters north of Sri Vasangan. Of course, Advaita Acharya had a house in Shantipur, like this prayer we sing, Ekdina Shantipure, Advaita Acharya Ghore. You know, Sharira Avidyajal, along with it goes, Ekdina Shantipure, describing one day in Shantipur in the house of Advaita Acharya when Mahaprabhu was taking what he was very fond of, shak, one spinach sabzi, very, very fond. And so, but Advaita Acharya also had this home in Navadvipa. Sri Nityananda Prabhu said, Jiva, see the residence of Sitanath, Sri Advaita. Here the Vaishnavas are always meeting. Sitanath used to sit here and worship Lord Sri Krishna. By loudly calling out to him, Sitanath brought my only treasure, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, to this earth. So that place where the banks of the Ganga were, because Ganga shifted completely, those ghats are no longer there. There was one ghat where Nima used to go and used to do so many pranks. Brahmins would be sitting on the bank worshipping Shalagram, and Mahaprabhu Nimai would go and spit water on them, and then they would have to go and take bath all over again. Sometimes they would be standing in the water doing their mantras. He would come up from underneath and grab their ankles like a crocodile, and they would be all disturbed. Or sometimes they would also have, they would be making some offering to Shalagram Narayan on the bank of the Ganga. And then Nimai would come and he would snatch the offering. And they would say, why you have taken this was being offered to Lord Narayan? He said, oh, you called me, I have come. I have taken it. What is the problem? Oh, and they became very upset. They went to Jagannath Mishra, and as they were going to complain to Nimai's father, and Nimai told his friends, if my father comes and asks, tell him that you did not see me come here after school. So he went by another route home. And when he arrived at home, all of these Brahmins were complaining to Jagannath Mishra, and Mahaprabhu was carrying his books. He had ink stains on his fingers, and he was all covered with dust as if he is not bathed. And he was as if he had just come from school. And then Jagannath Mishra, hearing all these things, such naughty things that Nimai was doing, he was ready to beat him. But then the Brahmins saw him and they saw how charming he looked. He said, oh, Mishraji, don't be so hard. Don't be hard on this boy. He is very soft, very sweet boy. They were completely charmed by the sight of very Sundar Nimai. And Nimai said, oh, father, you know, I have only now come from school. I don't know what uncles are saying. You can go and ask my friends also. He went, Jagannath Mishra went there by the bank of the Ganga and asked, no, Nimai never came here after school. He only went home. Us. So in this way, Nimai was making all of the manifestation of Krishna Lila naughty activity was all present at this time. Sri Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai.
Jai.
In one place I read that the Lord Chaitanya would even lock the Brahmins in the outhouses. He would lock them in.
So many naughty activities. And also there would be the young girls there, and he would also do things to them as well. And not just this pastime where they were going down by the bank of the Ganga to worship Shankarji with bananas and sandesh. Of course, we know this. He was telling them, you should give your bananas and sandesh to me. If you don't, Shankarji is my friend, and I will tell him that you should get husbands who are old men who already have wives, and then that's what you will get. Otherwise, if you give to me, then okay. But he was also doing things like there would be a place where ladies would go bathing in the Ganga and a different place where men would go bathing in the Ganga. He would go and take the clothes of the ladies and put them there and bring the clothes of the men and put them there by the ladies. Oh, ladies are coming out of the water wearing only some underwear and their clothes have gone. Men also. Oh, such a big havoc and so much problem that he made.
They love it.
Yes, but also very charming. After rolling in the dust of that place, the four of them went to Sri Gadadhar Bhavan, the house of Sri Gadadhar, which was about 10 meters east of Advaita Bhavan. And from there, Sri Nityananda Prabhu showed Sri Jiva the residences of all Mahaprabhu's other associates. After visiting the houses of the Brahmins, these four personalities blissfully proceeded towards the bank of the Ganga. Other associates of Mahaprabhu who lived nearby were Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami had come to live in Navadvipa, but we do not hear about him in the early Leela. Afterwards, he went and took sannyas, and as Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami, he was one of the closest associates of Mahaprabhu in Sri Jagannath Puri. Now we come to Kshetrapal Vriddha Shiva. Sri Jiva then had darshan of the temple of Vriddha Shiva situated on the bank of the Ganga on the border of Mayapur. Sri Nityananda Prabhu said, O Jiva, this Vriddha Shiva is the Kshetrapal of Mayapur, the area protector. This is where Pradhamaya Shakti or Yogamaya eternally resides. Now it is said that Pradhamaya is actually, Gurudev was explaining, actually that Shiva, Vriddha Shiva, this is Sadashiva. So Sadashiva is in that Sadashiva Dham, which is outside this material world. But he also appears as the Shiva who is within this world. So there is Sadashiva Lok outside this material world. So that Sadashiva and that Praudhamaya, they have manifest as the Kshetrapal Vriddha Shiva and Praudhamaya. You have been to Praudhamaya in Navadvipa. So that is the ancient place, yes.
Yeah, so I went there a long time ago. That Shiva Linga that's there, that's also very ancient. How long has that linga been there for? There's just out of curiosity, is it known or is it not known?
I don't know. Yeah. Of course, this current town of Navadvipa is what was previously known as Kulinagram. And it is said that the residents of Kulinagram were all very dear to Mahaprabhu. So, after Sriman Mahaprabhu's disappearance, the Ganga will rise by his desire and cover almost all of Mayapur with her waters. 100 years after that, she will again manifest Mayapur. At that time, only the land of Mayapur will manifest, no houses will remain. Thus, that place will remain uninhabited for a long time. And again, when Sriman Mahaprabhu strongly desires, people will reside in Mayapur as before. And all these ghats will again be manifest on the bank of the Ganga, and many devotees will come together to construct a huge temple for Sriman Mahaprabhu. Sri Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. One more thing. One amazing temple will manifest here, wherein the daily worship of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu will constantly increase. Praudamaya and Vriddha Shiva will return here and again serve the Dham according to Mahaprabhu's wish. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Sri Navadvipa Dham Ki Jai.